America, welcome into the Business Pulse, brought to you by the Freedom Chamber. Online at thefreedomchamber.net. It's freedomchamber.net, the pro-American business network. Rod Martin back in the saddle along with Dean Owen. And gentlemen, we're week 4 of the government shutdown, and I seem to be doing okay. You guys seem to be doing okay. What's your thoughts on that, Rod?
Well, we are doing okay. We're about to get to the point where SNAP benefits and food stamps go away. And I think Babylon Bee captured it perfectly this morning with their headline. I won't quote it exactly right, but the gist of it is the Democrats vow to starve everyone to death it takes to get health care for illegal aliens. And that's exactly what they're doing. This is about extending Obamacare subsidies that they said would never be needed and that they had the power to make permanent when they were actually in control of Congress and didn't. So that's $500 billion. And then they want another $1 trillion that is, honest to goodness, Medicaid for illegal aliens. And they can pretend that's not what it is, but we've got them dead to rights. So they are going to starve actual impoverished American citizens to get free health care for illegal aliens that a lot of those exact SNAP recipients aren't getting. And it's just unfathomable. The polling isn't working for them. I think this is just going to get worse for the Democrats from here. And I think ultimately Trump is going to prevail.
Do you think, I'm just going to ask this question, and I want to direct it to both of you. Do you really think we're going to get to where SNAP is not going to happen next week? Do you think, we've got today, tomorrow, the weekend. Do you really think that it's going to come down to where both sides can't get this done? What is it, 5-6 votes away in the Senate is what Schumer needs they need to round up, and Schumer's just dug in like a donkey, doesn't want to move. Do you really think we're going to get there to where kids are going to go hungry in America?
One of the things that I've keep up with is an organization that helps with church security, and that's a thing now we got to watch out for. But that was this morning's headline was talking about churches and food pantries need to be more diligent than usual, because in the past when we've seen these things happen, there's a wave of violence, and we know the left loves violence, and this is maybe another way to create violence. Also, some flash traffic this morning that somewhere between 40 and 60% of SNAP benefits go to illegals. So are they fighting for not only health care, but also food stamps for illegals? Is that what the Democrats are fighting for? And it just it makes me just cock my head and go, really? Really? That's just, it's insane. It's profound. And there's no way they come out of this on the other end. Finding a silver lining, and we always try to look for those because we think that, God does things for reasons. Then this may be setting up, people are going to remember this next November. They're going to. I think they may remember it in races where we have contests this November. They may remember it another week. So there may be a silver lining to this.
Rod, what's the end game bargaining chip? The Republicans have done nothing but try to pass the clean bill. The Democrats are just so dug in with getting this health care for illegals. Who breaks first?
Look, all of this was settled when we passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Absolutely.
And Trump signed it into law on July 4th. And so what the Democrats are doing is they are literally holding poor Americans hostage to get these benefits to their much more favored constituency, illegal aliens. There's no rhyme or reason to it other than just being so captured by the far left wing of the Democratic Party that they simply have nowhere to go. This is not rational by normal calculus. But the truth is, states like California have become so dependent on that exact money that was eliminated in the One Big Beautiful Bill. They are dependent on it to be able to run their regular programs, because they're diverting other money, since it's against federal law to give any of this to illegals. They're using their other money to give to illegals, and they need those illegals here because it gives them electoral votes, it gives them House seats, it actually gives them voters, and these people are actually loyal to them. where they're losing a lot of other people, certainly working class people. And I think what we're going to see is Schumer holds out until he simply loses enough Democrats that he can't, because he's desperate to hold on to his position and not get primaried by AOC. And I don't see Trump actually budging, because there's no benefit to him doing so.
Agree with that 100%. And by the way, I just received, as you were talking, Rod, a text from Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. He said, please stop using the word illegal aliens, illegal immigrants. They're undocumented migrants. If you could do that, please.
Yes,
Very,
and
very
I've even
racist
heard
of us.
Democrats call them undocumented citizens.
Yes.
Which is just absurd.
It's an amazing thing that we're watching unfold in front of us. But I believe you're truthful there, Rod, that Trump will not bend. Schumer is going to, I truly believe there's going to be 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8 Democrats. They know they're in a race that they can't let this go on any longer, or they're going to lose their position with their constituents. So I think you're going to see that bend possibly over this weekend is kind of my thinking. Now, let's
hope so. And
go
let
ahead.
me just add one thing, because it's so important. Neither party has ever voted against a clean continuing resolution. No party has ever voted against that in the history of the Budget Act of 74. So what they're doing is completely unprecedented. It's basically a hostage situation. And that fits, since they all support Hamas now and other people who use human shields to get their way. That's literally what they're doing with SNAP and food stamps.
Right. And again, looking for a silver lining, this is an act of desperation. This is not an act of strength. So you look at this and you know the insanity of it is pure desperation. So they know they're in a losing spot. They know they're not going to come out of this well. And it's, I think, Chuck, you may be right with 5 or 6 of them that are scared they're going to lose their seats, or it could be a backroom deal with Schumer with 5 or 6 that are very, very safe seats. And when it becomes a very calculated play on when do you capitulate.
Yeah, so I think it happens potentially over the weekend, but we'll see. This time next week, we'll learn a lot more. Let's shift gears and talk about President Trump's visit to Japan and the new prime minister, which, by the way, I didn't see any virtue signaling of glass ceilings being broken by the typical normal left side of the fence, talking about how there's a female in power. And I believe she has a very hard stance on immigration. I'm curious what your thoughts were on how those meetings went and what's it mean to the rest of the world. Rod?
Well, to quote Joe Biden, if you aren't for me, you ain't black. So she's not really a woman, just like Margaret Thatcher wasn't really a woman, because she believes the wrong things. Now, she's going to be a great prime minister. She's going to be a great ally for Donald Trump. We are 80 years past World War II. It is time for Japan to have a very serious military again. Yeah. They're building it. It's happening. Their Navy is getting very real, and we need it, because if we're going to contain China, we need more than just the U.S. Navy on station. And it's the exact same theory as getting NATO to commit to 5% of GDP in defense expenditures, because if our NATO allies are strong, the entire alliance is stronger together, and it deters more bad action. There wouldn't have been a Ukraine war if what Trump has done with NATO had already been done. And that's exactly what we're trying to do in the first island chain. We want to contain China. We don't want to fight them.
Yeah, and it looks like there's going to be another meeting with Xi and President Trump. And it looks like, I think Rod called it right correctly last week when they were throwing some Hail Marys and 100% reduction or elimination of exporting raw materials and rare earth elements. That looks like a setup. But one of the most fun things that we noticed out of this trip is that South Korea's president gave President Trump a very, very big golden crown.
It was great.
Wonderful.
So I think even the North Korean government realizes the no kings stuff is just complete and total garbage, and now they're trolling the liberals too. So
yes.
You know what's amazing about you two, about you, Dean, and you, Rod, is your batting average on things that have taken place that we've talked about maybe 3 weeks out, a month away from when things actually happen, have become fact, have become truthful. And, I respect what you guys have to say because you've got great insight, you've got knowledge. I truly believe that having President Trump over in South Korea and in Japan, especially, I think is going to strengthen our our allies and everything around the world. It's going to make us even stronger than we possibly could even imagine. Especially keeping, as you said, keeping China at bay, so to speak, and keeping away from Taiwan and stuff like that. But I just think people need to open their eyes to getting rid of the hatred towards President Trump because he's actually doing a lot of good. It's these loons on the left, the radical left, that just put him in a box. And then South Korea comes out and says, hey, here's a crown for you, King. I find it absolutely fun, amazing, and it's going to be wonderful to watch it all unfold. On the backside of this, go ahead, Dean, go ahead.
So, and have some optimism too, because
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was in the Cold War and did a lot of interesting things there. But if someone had told you just a few years after President Reagan stood up and said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, the Soviet Union would fall. If somebody had told you that was going to happen when he said that speech, you would have laughed him out of the room. And I would have too. So we may see China capitulate in a very big way and a lot sooner than what anyone expects with the demographic spiral they're having, the one-child policy that was just destroyed their demographic base, with all of the replacement rates being so incredibly low, just not only economically, but demographically. We may see China turn in a big way. We may see Russia turn in a big way. And this president is big enough to make those things happen. So have faith, believe that, God does things for reasons. Not always, he doesn't do them the way we think he's going to, but he gets things done for a reason. And I believe that America has found some providence again.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Dean. On the backside of this break, we're going to be joined by Gary Rabine, the Ditch Digger CEO, the founder, chairman of the Rabine Group, and we're going to talk about the 8 million pound pink elephant gorilla hybrid that's in the room that is healthcare. And it's coming down the line in 2026, and it's headed right towards small and mid-sized businesses. We'll dissect that next inside the Business Pulse.
Hey, the Freedom Chamber is amazing. I'm so glad that we get to be here on the Freedom Chamber's Business Pulse. This is an organization you should support. It's an organization of which you should be a member. The Freedom Chamber is getting important things done in this country. And honestly, we need spaces for people who believe the sorts of things that if you're watching this, you probably do. We have gone through this extended period of not just canceling individuals, but just boycotting businesses and doing terrible things, debanking. Nigel Farage, who is likely to be the next prime minister of the United Kingdom, was actually debanked by all the major banks in the United Kingdom. And of course that happens here, and we get de-insured and all these terrible things. The Freedom Chamber is fighting for you. The Freedom Chamber is here to make sure that you're protected, that your values matter, they count, and they're in the public square. So I encourage everybody to join the Freedom Chamber.
Welcome back into the Business Pulse. I'm Chuck Barham. We're brought to you by the Freedom Chamber online at freedomchamber.net, the pro-American business network. Rod Martin, Dean Owen, and now Gary Rabine, he calls himself the Ditch Digger CEO. He's the chairman and founder of the Rabine Group. Gary, welcome into the Business Pulse.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Your knowledge and insights into the business world, small, mid-sized business world, and even large-sized business world is what we're going to tap into. For 2026, just reading a story online today that a married couple that owns a business, self-employed, family of 4, their premiums are going to go north of $4,000 a month with a $12,000 deductible. Is that sustainable in today's environment in America as you run a small business?
No, it's really not. We're hearing, we have 15 businesses that are startups to mature businesses from, 2 years old to 44 years old, right? And all these businesses have the same challenges, whether they're a 3-4 person company, some of our startups are that small, and to the 100 or 200 person companies that are larger companies. And it's a challenge on both ends, right? I mean, these are all really small businesses. Some of you'd call them maybe medium, but the challenge of health insurance is getting tougher and tougher. The problem's getting tougher and tougher to solve, and we don't see any end in sight at this point.
Mr. Martin, your detailed observation out of the great state of Florida on what's happening here. I mean, it's happening across the country. It's just not in Illinois.
It's not sustainable. I mean, that's the right question, and the answer is pretty plain. And this was all by design. You'll have trouble finding this now, but there's a video, used to be on YouTube, of Barack Obama discussing this in 2005. Now, remember, he gets elected in 2008. He passes Obamacare in 2010. But in 2005, he gave a speech where he said plainly that the nation had rejected single payer health care, socialized medicine under Clinton, and the country was just not ready for it. And what you had to do to get to socialized medicine was you had to create a system that appeared to be free market, but was so hopelessly broken that after a certain period of time, people would clamor for single payer. Whether you did it like the VA, whether you did it like Medicare for all, like Bernie Sanders talks about, doesn't matter. And so they designed a system that is broken, and we've got to undo it. And my only hope in that is that Donald Trump tried to repeal Obamacare not once, but 3 times in 2017, got blocked ultimately by John McCain, of all people, who had actually run on repeal, and then, lost Congress the next year, so he spent the rest of his time defending himself from impeachment. But we might have a shot, especially if we win the midterms, at actually getting some relief. If not, this is an absolute train wreck in the making.
And Dino, when you deal with small business owners across America, how are they going to be tasked with this, and how are they going to move it forward as they're trying to budget out 2026 and beyond?
Well, this is a topic I've had a depth of experience with, and I've written 2 books, and they were both Obamacare survival guides, one for business, one for for individuals. And what I think the small business owners are going to have to look at is the offerings from like what the Freedom Chamber is doing. That's significantly lower cost, concierge care, and managing in a different way. There's also health sharing ministries. These are faith-based, basically insurance companies, but they're not technically insurance, so they don't have to cover abortions and rehabs and the things that we find morally repulsive. That are far more affordable. I used one until Trump signed legislation that allows VA veterans to go out into the community, which is basically what I have. But my wife is on one. It works well. She recently had some surgery, and it worked well. My clients it worked well with them. There's about 7 of them. They've been around for decades. What happened was, Scripture says we should share each other's burdens. And in some religions, insurance is outlawed for that reason. But we say that we share each other's burdens via insurance. But then you come around, and I'm no fan of insurance companies, but Obamacare made it legal for basically you catch your house catches on fire, it's on a blaze, you call your insurance company and say, hey, I need homeowner's insurance. And the little restaurant next door that I used to own, I had a lady in there who was doing food prep, lunch prep. And you'd go in and get it, and it'd either be cooked or you take it home and cook it. And she always had struggled with employees. COVID killed that business. But in the years leading up to that, she had 4 different employees who would come to work. And these are 19, 20, 21-year-old females that they would get pregnant, and then they would get on Obamacare and have the baby and drop it. I happen to know I have a brother who has been to drug rehab 6 or 7 times on Obamacare. And what that creates is an environment where those of us who are responsible with our health care are paying copious amounts of dollars for people who are not responsible for their health care. So the health sharing ministries work in that regard. What you guys are doing, that works in that regard. But they're going to have to fundamentally change the insurance rules. We're going to have to go back to allow catastrophic care insurance policies. You take a young person that's 30 years old, they're not worried about cancer and heart attacks and everything else. Well, that's the only thing they're worried about. They're not worried about bumbling and getting their knees scraped or having to go to the doctor because they got the flu. Let people, they just pay for that out of pocket. For myself, I get a VA checkup in the spring, but I go see another doctor out of pocket. It costs me $400 or $500, but he gives me a really thorough checkup, and that's an expense. But it's most people, that's very manageable. But for most people, they can't pay for that through insurance because all of these uninsurable disaster cases and people who just abusive with the healthcare system. The emergency room doctors in my town, and I'm going to guess in your town, would also tell you that come Friday night and Saturday night, you'll have people to come in, bring their kid in. He's got a tummy ache. He's got sniffles. Take care of him. Then mom or dad leaves the kid at the emergency room all night and picks the kid up the next morning. The emergency room becomes the de facto overnight daycare. Who's going to pay for that?
Well, you've got 3 people on the screen, 4 people that are paying for it. Dean, that's who's paying for it. I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to make sure, because Gary's time, we've got a segment here that I want to make sure we get all we can with Mr. Rabine. Gary, as a business owner, how do you budget for something like this? It just gets passed on down the line, right, to your clients and services that you offer, but it's just, as we've said, it's unsustainable.
So I think Dean and Rod have really, they mentioned it, right? It's all about accountability. If you take away accountability and anybody can go into an emergency room at a cost of quadruple what it would be if you went to a normal doctor with a stomach ache, right? The cost goes up. I mean, when you allow anybody to come into a state like Illinois and be covered on pregnancy, right, on a pregnancy, and by the way, abortions, right, are all covered in our state of Illinois, the cost of insurance goes up. When you throw the non-accountability, the price of gender changes, okay, in the state of Illinois, your insurance company has to pay for these things that 90% of us don't agree with, morally or economically, right? The price goes up. And so it's really tough. In states like Illinois, it gets to be more tough to do business because other states where they're more accountable, insurance is a little less. That's why businesses are moving to these other states for many reasons, but that's one of them. So accountability, in my opinion, is the key to success of any economy, any business. And we're in a world right now, especially in states like Illinois, where there's just no accountability. So again, in business, we every year we look at where things are going, and sometimes we have to move business marketing to other markets of the country. So in Illinois, our business is not growing over the last 7, 8, 10 years. In Florida, we're growing. In Texas, we're growing a lot. And so, unfortunately, money moves with common sense.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Gary, where can people find you online? Because I find you on LinkedIn and elsewhere, but anywhere else that people should be able to dive into the Rabine world? Is it just LinkedIn, or where are you at elsewhere?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, I've got a podcast called Ditch Digger CEO, where I interview rags to riches stories and common sense stories of people going from a couple $1,000 investment to being very successful, top 1% of their industries. I like to talk about that because American dream is still alive. But boy, it's not getting any easier for somebody to start a small business, as we're talking now. But what I would say is, we're a group of 15 companies, the Rabine group of companies. So Rabine Paving America, Rabine Paving, and the Rabine Group are all companies that are underneath our platform, including a company called Site Technology. That's a technology company that's growing in the country in the prop tech world. So any of those businesses are under my leadership and my foundership, I guess. But more importantly, I love organizations like this one right here. Freedom Chamber is amazing. We're constantly networking with other members, and we're going to do more and more of that as we go forward to really learn from each other and mentor each other. I'm also involved in Job Creators Network and Turning Point USA in a big way, because these are organizations I believe that believe in the American dream, something that all small businesses should believe in and understand how to capture that American dream.
Absolutely. Dean, where can we find you, bud?
OwenCPA.com, jump online, get us some information, maybe chat with my team, let us connect, let's build a relationship, and let us help you disinherit the government and not your kids.
Attaboy. Love it. Mr. Martin, the Martin Report.
rodmartin.org, and everybody should come. We do daily geopolitical analysis. Fox Business calls absolutely phenomenal. We also have 275,000 followers on X. That's all happened this year. There's a reason. Come to rodmartin.org.
Love it. Gary, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all that you do behind the scenes with Turning Point and with Job Creators Network. It's great work that still needs to have that torch lit, and we'll do it in honor of Charlie as we move this world forward and keep America great and keep America safe and keep it prosperous. That's for sure. Guys, Rod, Dean, and Gary, I appreciate you guys very much. And right in and now, the Freedom Chamber does have a solution for healthcare. If you're a member, I encourage you right now to dive into freedomchamber.net and pull up what we've done with Datego Health, with the Guardianship Plan, with Bowtie Medical. They're all in there. It's a chance for you. We're driving the bus right now inside of Freedom Square and the Freedom Chamber to where my family is on these programs, and we've saved our company upwards of 40%, and nothing's really changed. We're seeing the same docs. We're going to the same pediatricians. We're doing everything the same. It's just saving our business money. So freedomchamber.net, you're a member. You're seeing this, dive in, check it out. You can save some money as you move the ball forward into 2026. Gentlemen, I appreciate you. God bless you all, and God bless America. And this has been the Business Pulse.
Thank you, Chuck.
My name is Dean Owen. I'm a CPA. I have a master's degree in taxation and a personal financial specialist. Tax laws are always changing. That's why you need a tax strategist, not just a tax preparer. You need someone to help you pay the least amount of tax legally. Because if your business and retirement tax planning is not tax smart, it's probably tax dumb. Let's fix that today. Call me. Let's disinherit the government and not your kids. That's what my team and I do. This is who we are. I'm a combat veteran, unapologetically American, unapologetically pro-God, pro-life, and pro-Second Amendment. If those are the values you seek in a tax and money advisor, call us. Again, let's disinherit the government and not your kids. We're not afraid to share our values, and we share them with you.